The Friday Sports Riot on Sportstownchicago.com.
And who do we have on the phone line, Ryan?
Today on the phone line from 670 The Score, we have Joe Ostrowski. What's up, Joe?
What's up, Ryan and Ryan? It's a pleasure to be on the Sports Riot.
Yes, thank you. Now let's start off with talking about the White Sox because baseball season's coming up.
Can I stop you for 1 second, though?
Yes.
Because I'm sitting here on traffic on a Friday, and it's just terrible, and I'm listening to the Sports Riot, and I hear Hoppy say on the radio that he's tired and he wants to go home. Listen, when I'm on the air tonight from 10 to 1 a.m., when it hits midnight, I'm going to be tired. I might want to go home. But you guys have to power through this last hour.
We do.
Come on, guys.
Yes, we do.
I'm glad you said that, Joe, because right when I said that, I'm like, why did I just say that on the air? So I'm glad you said that.
Come on, it's fun. This is not hard work. It's radio.
That's right. Now let's start with the White Sox. What is your take on Adam Dunn for this season?
Oh, God. My take is that he's going to continue to be booed every time he's up at the plate. After 3 of the 4 years of that deal, it's just at a point where he's in a no-win situation. We knew what he was when he came to town, and I would say that the majority of White Sox fans, his first couple years, don't get me wrong, they were god-awful. But he's not that far off from being what he's been throughout his career, and people are really hung up on that average. But if he still has the power and he's getting on base through walks, it's not that awful. But the 3 years, it has been a complete disaster with Adam Dunn. But I'm not sure what people were expecting. They overpaid him for this point in his career by a whole lot. And I think a lot of blame there should go toward Ken Williams.
And now, how good can Chris Sale be for the White Sox? Is there any chance he could be up for the Cy Young Award this year?
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And we're now in an era where the writers, the voters for that award, aren't strictly just looking at wins and losses, which is a good thing, because a few years ago, you guys will remember Felix Hernandez winning the Cy Young, and he only had 10 or 11 wins that year. Absolutely. He's right there. If the White Sox were a more popular team, he would be talked about like he's Clayton Kershaw. He really would. And you have to credit Rick Hahn as well, because you're taking a look at that, like I just mentioned, Kershaw, the contract he just got, and what the White Sox are going to be paying Sale for quite some time. They have a great bargain for a guy that, as long as he stays healthy, is going to be up for the Cy Young a whole lot coming up.
Now, how do you think Jose Abreu will handle Major League pitching, since this will be his first year in the MLB?
See, that's why it's so difficult to predict what the White Sox are going to do. It's always difficult with every team in Major League Baseball, because every pitcher is just an injury waiting to happen. And now I'm looking at Jose Abreu coming in the league. He has never played before. He looks great now. Yeah, all the stories in February and March are great. But there are a few of the additions on this team, and I look at the projections, and okay, that's fine and well, but how can I really trust it? Because we've seen so many guys come to the major leagues, even at a later time in their career. I believe Abreu's 26, 27 years old, and we've seen some be great, and some really struggle against major league pitching and never make that adjustment. So to predict, I would just be guessing like a lot of other people are right now.
This is Paul Konerko's last year on the White Sox. Where would you rank him all time for the White Sox?
As far as White Sox players?
Yeah.
He's up near the top. Now, the conversation came up last year when he hit his 400th home run that, well, maybe he should be a Hall of Famer. Paul Konerko is not a Hall of Famer. He's certainly in the White Sox Hall of Fame. There's going to be a statue there. Number 14 will be retired for the White Sox. There's no doubt in my mind. But I'm looking at this one final season, and guys, I know he got the right. It was his decision because he's Paul Konerko. That's just how Jerry Reinsdorf rolls. But I really disagree with him coming back for this season. It should not be his decision. It should have been Rick Hahn's decision. It's not up to the players whether or not they're going to come back. And we all know the production has taken a huge fall off the table for Paul Konerko. And his role is going to be different. It's going to be kind of like an assistant manager type thing. That's the plan. We'll see if that's what really happens. And supposedly he's going to play only a couple times a week. but it's something he's never done in his career. The dude's a gamer. He wants to be on the field all the time. So it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to being on the bench for the majority of the week. It's good for the fans if they get one more chance and they know for sure this is it, the end of the road, get to see their favorite player, Paul Konerko. But the way I look at it, it should not have been his decision.
Now, moving on to the Cubs, what would you say would be a good year for this team?
Oh, man. That's a good year for this team. I mean, you're looking at it with the talent on the field, again, on the field. We don't know when the call-ups are going to happen, the big call-ups, the names we keep hearing about. A couple of them may be up in September, but there are a lot of assumptions out there that they're absolutely going to rake when they hit the major league level, and let's pump the brakes on that one. What is a good season? I would say a good season is in the 70 to 75 win range. That's what I would be looking at. Mm-hmm. It's not a major league product right now. We know that, and the hope is for 2015, 2016. That's what you're really looking for here.
Now, who are a couple of the bright spots going to be for the Cubs? Are we going to see Anthony Rizzo have a breakout year? Are we going to see Starlin Castro get back to where he was when he first came up?
Yeah, Castro. That's the big thing. If you look at Rizzo's numbers, I know it didn't seem like it, but just look at the number of doubles he had and home runs. Rizzo did not have an awful year, mm-hmm. and people expected so much more because Jed and Theo, especially Jed Hoyer, has continued to trade for him a few different times. They love him as a player. Castro's the big one, guys. That's the key. Can he turn it back around to what he was? Because it's no coincidence that since Theo and Jed and the boys came into town, that Castro's production has dropped because they tried to change his approach as a hitter, what he's done his entire life. They need to go back to letting Castro be a free-swinging guy because that's when he was producing the most. That's when he was a 200-hit type guy, just all for his age, breaking all sorts of records. They need to lay off, and that's why Rick Renteria is here.
And now moving on to the Bulls, did you ever think this team should tank, or did you think they should just keep trying to find ways to win games?
Early on, I did think they should tank. I was in that camp. But I think everybody's done a 180 on this, and you have to give them and Tibbs a lot of credit, and people are just rooting for them to win. We all know. I don't care who they add, whether you're talking about as Butler, Jimmer Fredette, if that happens tomorrow, whatever. We know they're not going to beat Miami and Indiana, and that's what's different about basketball. You always know who the best teams are, and the best teams come out on top for the most part. And they're just not at that level, and there's no addition they can make right now that would change things. So the tanking thing is long gone, I believe. But the other interesting part that I don't think people are talking about enough, guys, is look at the college level. This was supposed to be this great class that all these teams are tanking for, and here's the thing. This is not going to be that good of a draft class with the way they've been playing this year. There's a lot of disappointments going on. So I don't think it's going to be that great. Right. And the Bulls will end up having 2 first-rounders between their pick and the Charlotte pick because it looks like awful Charlotte because the East is so freaking terrible. Charlotte's going to be in the playoffs.
Do you see any of these bad teams under 500 making any playoff runs, or will this just be one and done, awful playoffs for them?
The first round is going to be rough, guys, especially the Eastern Conference. You know what's going to happen. We're going to see a lot of sweeps. We can still even see it with the Bulls if they get that number 3 seed. It's not going to get interesting to the Eastern Conference or the Eastern Conference Finals, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's really it. That's what you're waiting for. But in the West, that's an entirely different situation.
And now, do you think that the Heat will be 3-peats this year, or is there any team that could come out of nowhere and win a ring?
There's a chance. Indiana needs that home court. They truly believe that if they end up with the best record in the East, that if it goes to 7 games, which it probably would again, that they can take down Miami. They can believe that. I don't believe that. I don't think the Heat are losing to anybody, and a lot of this does hit John Dwayne Wade's health. But as long as he's healthy, I mean, people are just dreaming. It's just a lot of those, quote, Heat haters out there that are just begging for them to go down, and I don't see it happening.
Now, before we let you go, where can people find your work online?
On Twitter, at Joe0670, at Joe0670, and I will be on the air tonight from 10 p.m. till 1 a.m. on 670 The Score. And it's also, if you're streaming, on 670thescore.com.
And now, thanks for coming on the show, Joe. We would love to have you on again.
Hoppy, I don't want you saying that you're tired and you want to go home. Power through the end, all right?
I promise, Joe, I will never say that on air.
Just let me know whenever you guys want me on. I'll be glad to do it.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Sounds good, Joe.
Bye.
That was Joe Ostrowski of 670 To Score.
Yeah.
Like, right when I said that, too, I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking in the back of my head, I'm like...
Ooh, that's not someone you admit.
He just said that. Well, oh well.
And that was Joe Ostrowski of 670 Scores. He was on the Illinois Center for Broadcasting hotline. It's going to be weird. When I'm driving home from the gym, I always turn on either 670 or Dance Factory. I go back and forth.
Right.
It's going to be weird when I hear Joe on the radio be like, yeah, that guy was on my show today. Pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome to have a great opportunity like this where we can talk to people who are actually in the sports industry because it's awesome.
That same thing happened to me when we had Eddie Volkman on the show from B96, Eddie and Joe back in the day. It's weird whenever I see the United Auto Insurance commercials. I'm like, wow, we had that dude on the show. Like, it's just kind of cool.
Right.
And, Ryan, what's the number if they want to call in?
If you want to call, 630-403-5200. That's 630-403-5200.
As Joe O from 670 To Score was on the Illinois Center for Broadcasting hotline. All right, we're going to come back and talk some more sports after this on the Friday Sports Riot. Hang on.
The Friday Sports Riot on SportstownChicago.com.